Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at Ohio's 9th Congressional District. This is episode 3 of our covering every competitive congressional district series, and this video was suggested by a lot of people, so we're doing Ohio 9 because it was requested by some commenters. So again, that's your cue. If you want to see me cover a district that I haven't already, comment it down in this video, like other comments of other districts that you think are interesting. And again, there's no set number 4, so we're going to be doing that one next. So, yeah. Comment down below what you want to see. Comment below who you think is going to win this race, and we're going to get into it here. So, Ohio 9. For those of you who don't know, Ohio 9 is a white working class district, again, in the northwest of Ohio. And its major population center, it only has really one big city, which is Toledo, obviously a very Democratic-leaning area. It's interesting because the city of Toledo itself is pretty Democratic. As you can see as we zoom in on the city, there's a lot of blue precincts, a lot of Democratic votes. And in 2020, the city voted for, this is 2016, let's go to 2020, this data set right here. In 2020, the city voted for Joe Biden by about 34%. So it was quite solid for the Democratic Party, the city of Toledo. But the district as a whole was, a little redder. As you can see, the rural parts, and I'll zoom in specifically in this district so we don't get distracted by anything else, just for those of you who get distracted easily. This is the district we're looking at here. This seat, as you can see, blue in Toledo, but red pretty much everywhere else except for a few spots. I think is that Sandusky County? No, that's Erie County, sorry. Sandusky is over here. I got my counties mixed up. But again, a lot of rural red over here, a lot, a bit lighter red because this is more working class areas, but still pretty Republican leaning. And then the city of Toledo is blue, and that kind of propels the district to be a little more competitive. And ultimately, having voted for Joe Biden or for Donald Trump in 2020 by about 3%. So, that was Donald Trump did very well in Ohio 9 in 2020. He was actually expected to. It wasn't a district at the time because he got redistricted, but, had you shown this district to someone in October 2020 and said, do you think Trump wins it? They'd probably say, no, Biden's probably going to win it. I know for a fact that I probably would have thought Biden was going to win this district prior to the election, of course. But, that's just, I guess, just to put it out there. This is a district that Republicans generally underestimated in because working class voters tend to turn out for Republicans more than most people expect. So, there's kind of that general narrative. And yeah. So, the reason that this district is competitive despite being won by Donald Trump in 2020 and 2016 is that it is represented by a Democrat named Marcy Kaptur. Again, she's been in office for a while. She's very well known across the district, although it has changed a little bit, so she'll have some new territory to deal with. But she's a skilled politician, no doubt. She knows how to get elected. She knows how to win in environments that aren't great for her, even as a Democrat. And a lot of people really think she has a chance of winning re-election this year, even though this is a Trumpy seat in a Trumpy state like Ohio. So let's look at her past performance. Let's see how good of a candidate Marcy Kaptur is. So I have this handy daily costs spreadsheet up here. Let's Ohio 9 right here. We're going to highlight this. This is the seat Kaptur was in, and prior to being redistricted, this was actually kind of a Democratic pack, as you can see. It took the cities of Toledo, went across the lake. This is Lake Erie, and it grabbed some parts of Cuyahoga County, which is the home of Cleveland. It had just created a Democratic-leaning district to pack all the Democrats into one seat and then keep these other districts over here more Republican-leaning. So ultimately what we saw was that Kaptur was able to win by about 26% in 2020 on the same ballot that Joe Biden won her district by about 19%. So she ran 7% ahead of Joe Biden in 2020. Solid showing there. In 2018, she won by about that's 36%. So she won by 36 in 2018. Again, we don't have a baseline there, but she did run fairly well, compared to Sherrod Brown, who I believe won the district by a little more. But Sherrod Brown is a force to be reckoned with in Ohio. Like if you're running even with Sherrod Brown anywhere, you're an electoral beast. And then in 2016, she was able to win her district by even more. She won it by 38% nearly 38% in 2016. And that was in the same ballot that Hillary Clinton won her district by about 22. So she ran 16% ahead of Hillary Clinton, 7% ahead of Joe Biden. And, that would be, you'd think, well, if this is a Trump plus 3 district, then if she runs 7% ahead again, she'll win by 4 points, right? That's what some people think. I don't really think that, and I'll explain why in a second. But let's just let's just talk about the partisanship of this district, because I think before we make assumptions about what the swing's going to be, before we make assumptions about how much needs to overperform by to win, let's talk about the partisanship of this district. So again, this is a very, very, very right trending district. And what I mean by that is that it was Democratic in the past. This is a, I don't know the exact number, but Gore definitely won it. Kerry definitely won it. Obama won it easily, both in 2008 and 2012. But in 2016, if we go back to 2016 on this data set here, Hillary Clinton, not Senator, Hillary Clinton lost it by about a point and a half, if I recall correctly. Yeah, she lost it. Yeah. Just a point. It was Trump +1 in 2016, Trump +3 in 2020. So it actually trended 2% to the right in 2020, despite the fact that the country trended 2% to the left, meaning that compared to 2016 in 2020, this district trended 4% to the Republican Party relative to national environment. I know that's a lot of jumping around between numbers. I know it might not make sense, but just think of it like this. 2016 was a D+2 year, and the Republicans won it by about 3%, meaning that it voted. Sorry, 2016 was a D+2 year. The Republicans won it by about 1%, meaning that it voted 3% to the right of the country. In 2020, it was a D+4.5 year. The Republicans won it by 3, meaning it was nearly R+7.5 relative to the country. See where that 4-point swing comes into play? That's what it means. And so the fact that this district trended right in 2020 compared to 2016, despite the fact that Clinton did worse than Biden in most of the country, says a lot about how conservative this district is becoming. And, in fairness, let's take a look at some other data sets here. Again, against Senator 2016, Rob Portman won easily. He won the district by a very solid amount here because he won statewide by like 20 points over Ted Strickland. It was a Republican landslide, so no surprise Portman won it. Attorney General is not important. That's Dave Yost. He won by 5% in 2018 as the Republican. But in the governor's race, it did narrowly go to the Democratic Party. Richard Cordray, the Democratic nominee, beat Mike DeWine in this district by about 4%. So he won it by 4. So the Democrats did well there. And obviously in the Senate race, Sherrod Brown carried it easily. It wasn't even close for Sherrod Brown. He won it by, nearly 17%. So the Democrats in 2018 did fairly well here. Actually, out of curiosity, I'll see if it went red in the Attorney General race. It probably narrowly went blue. Yeah, it narrowly did go blue. So in 2018, it was a blue-leaning district. But if you look at the 2020 and 2016 presidential races, it trended red. And the only reason that the Democrats did so well here in 2018 was because Sherrod Brown was unchallenged, so he won it easily. He won Ohio easily because the Republicans didn't try to beat him after August when it became clear that they were in an uphill battle. And in the governor and attorney general race where the Democrats narrowly carried it, that was because they only lost by 4% and 5% statewide, respectively. In 2020, Joe Biden lost by 8% statewide, and district trended accordingly. Unless Tim Ryan and Nan Whaley somehow only lose by an average of 5 or 6%, which is unlikely. This district is probably going to be won by Mike DeWine's definitely going to win this district at the governor level. There's a chance that Tim Ryan can pull it off and win this district at the Senate level to kind of give Marcy Kaptur that boost on the top of the ballot. But again, we don't know that. I wouldn't make any predictions on who's going to win in the Senate race because we don't know how that's going to unfold. What I will say is that when you look at this district, it is clear that it's right trending. It's clear that the working class voters in this district have become more Republican over the years. And that's a challenge for Marcy Kaptur, even though she is a good incumbent. So this district is really a classic example of the question, will working class voters who voted for Donald Trump come home for a Democrat in a midterm election? And in 2018, it happened in some places. We saw Democrats winning some seats that were Trump seats in the Midwest. But in 2020, most of those seats flipped back to the Republicans, and only a few Democrats in these Trumpy seats were able to hold on in the Midwest, like Haley Steve or like Alyssa Slotkin and like Matt Cartwright. And so Kaptur is now in a situation like Matt Cartwright was in 2020, where she's in a Trumpy district, but she needs to win as a Democrat. And that's a challenge for her, especially in a more Republican-leaning environment like this year. So let's just look at the polls, see where we're at here. There's only one poll, but it is a Republican internally as Marcy Kaptur ahead by 5%, which is a very good showing for her. The fact that she's ahead in a Republican internal is a very good sign for her. You always want to be either tied or ahead in your opponent's internal. That's the sign of a winning campaign. So to her credit, she's up in this internal. But this is where the problem comes in. Polls in Ohio, as we know, are terrible. They had Biden only lose the state by about a point in 2020. He lost it by 8. Then Clinton within striking distance of Trump. She lost it by 8% as well. And as we know, the polls really tend to underestimate Republicans with working class voters. So I don't really think Marcy Kaptur is ahead by 5 in a reliable poll. Again, I know that the Republicans polled this and showed that they were behind, but quite frankly, I don't really buy that. I don't think they're actually behind. It's because when you look at the actual trends here, this district is Republican. It's Republican trending. The Republican Party has a decent candidate here in J.R. Majewski. Again, he was at the Capitol on January 6th, but I don't really think that matters as much in a district like this, which is very, I don't really think that they would care as much about that as they do about other economic issues. And Majewski actually is a fairly good fit for the district. As a Republican, I think he knows how to run a campaign, although, he's still unproven compared to Kaptur. Kaptur is probably the better candidate on paper, even though she is coming with the disadvantage of being a Democrat in a Biden midterm. So, again, it's really whether you think that Republicans are willing to cross over and vote for a Democrat in such a hostile environment to the Democrats. So I think the answer to that is no. I think Marcy Kaptur is going to lose by 7 or 8%, which might seem like a lot, by the way. A lot of people think she's going to be really close, even if she wins or loses. I think she's going to go down. I think she's going to go down by a fairly substantial amount, because ultimately this district trended 4% to the right between 2016 and 2020. I think the district's going to trend right again. I believe that the Democratic Party is going to have a lot of problems getting turnout from Toledo, while having that coincide with them winning over working class white voters in the rural or more exurban suburban regions of the district. And without Sherrod Brown on the ballot to boost them, I have a hard time seeing Marcy Kaptur getting those turnout and swing voter advantages. So can Marcy Kaptur win? Yeah, she's a talented politician. She knows how to get voters on her side. And so that's why it's hard to bet against her. But again, it's a Republican-leaning district in a Republican-leaning environment. And ultimately, the Democrats don't have Sherrod Brown at the top of the ballot to boost their local candidates. So I right now rate this race as likely Republican in terms of margin. I think Marcy Kaptur is going to win, or is going to lose, excuse me. That's where I stand as of right now. Again, comment down what you think below. But that's where I stand today. So thanks for watching this video. If you learned something, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.